Okay. Hello. Let's see if everything's gonna work fine. Um, okay. Yeah, so today I think I'm gonna work on a bit of dynamic events that have happen after you finish the arena. So it will have to be something more interesting. For example, I was thinking about maybe creating an event that if before you enter the arena you kill boars, something else spawns when you get out. If you kill bunnies, something else spawns, etc. etc. So maybe also it would be interesting maybe to add a different merchant. Maybe a merchant that sells different um, crafting materials. But I'll see. I'll brainstorm a bit. Let me just see. Let's find some kind of music. Let's find Skyrim. Explore tracks. Maybe this is gonna be okay. Here we go. Before that I was working on this journal. The bestiary, logs, and recipes. And I'm looking for the recipes now, and I believe that I'm gonna use the bottle for it. Or something like that. Let's see how it would look. So there would be 3 icons in total. One of the problems is, as far as I can see, is also that these icons, some of them are not aligned in the middle, like this one. 4, 5. So it means either I make it squarish, both of them, or I suffer this asymmetry. I want each of them to be distance 4 pixels from the edge of the button. So I'm gonna fix this. So this is bookmark, like logs, bestiary, and recipes. I think that's gonna be good enough for people to distinct, because if I would give normal titles here, like everything only based on the words, this would be quite painful to translate, I believe, because you have languages like German and so on, and their translations are quite long. They really like to express the thing they want to describe in a word. So let's open Aseprite. Like that. Open, and I believe that I have these icons named as item effects. Yeah. Back then I used to think that this is gonna be an item effect. Now let's see. What are their names? Bookmark, okay. Bookmark. This one. I'm gonna simply try to expand it to the left. The distance is the same, 3, 3. And the last one. The last one. Okay, this looks much better now. And the last one is this book evil. But maybe Bestiary is gonna have all the characters, so maybe I could go with a more neutral icon, but I'm not sure if I have more neutral icons. Let's see. There's a crown trophy. All of those other things are gonna be useful in other cases, but for a lifesteal, I had an icon lifesteal like that. Okay. Maybe Dracula isn't good enough for this. Skeleton is also too evil. We'll see. But for example, if I try out Skeleton, how would it look? That's too big. No. What about this skull? Looks creepy if you ask me. Robot looks too much of a tech. I think I have already person for the stats themselves. So this one would be too much of a recycling. Hey, this one looks good. It's some kind of a goblin. Yeah. Okay, anything else? I believe Goblin is gonna be good enough. Or it represents a bit more evil things. But then again, I probably think that I'm gonna have the descriptions for others as well. Maybe this one. It's neutral looking. I'm not gonna describe only evil things. And this bestiary. And for the book, maybe. An open book could come in handy. Well, it's interesting, but again, too much lines. Or if I try another one. There's a disk, floppy disk. What about leaf? Leaf is a log. It isn't an ink leaf, but what about notes? Yeah, notes. I like this composition of everything. I think it looks similar in the height and so on. Let's see it. Okay. Maybe I could work on journal today. Because it's gonna need a lot of testing. Okay, so if I make connections, neighbor left is logs to itself, neighbor top close, neighbor right bestiary, that's okay. Left logs, neighbor top close. Then on the right, I'm gonna copy this one. Because this one should focus on the description itself on the right. Let's see if I go here. This one has left logs, okay, right should be recipes. And bottom should be bestiary button. Why is that? Before I confirm it, I focus it on myself. Okay, kinda makes sense. And then these things are the titles that come out. Maybe I just try to separate them with the same spacing apart. So this is 7, maybe I can put more. And this is 5. Well, if we take a look at here. Now it becomes spread out the same. And what about here? Maybe this one could be a bit more distanced. Not a problem at all. Okay. Journal. Logs, bestiary, recipes. Then I have to think about which things are the most important. So I kind of got a feeling that recipes are gonna be looked more frequently than bestiary. So before I start doing weird stuff, lots of wiring, or no. Let's leave it like this. And here 0. I let it breathe a bit more. We'll see what happens when I open it up. Maybe if I'd add this, like a final addition to the demo version, so people would see that there's bestiary inside and recipes, that wouldn't hurt anybody. So the camp is written okay. I go here to journal. And these are the logs and so on. Then I have to focus on everything else. Let me just write out my to-do list that I have for today. So, stream goals. Okay. Open journal works. Hide item info. When I open it, focus on logs button. Enforce the navigation. Add recipes. And bestiary checks. I'll put it on the left side. So the first error we have is if I focus on the journal, view logs, bestiary, and recipes. Yeah. Let's see if I have view logs. Bestiary or recipes. Like that. So the new thing is the recipe page, this one. I guess this stream is gonna be a bit more footwork on these things, on journal and so on. Maybe I have to lift it up a bit. And now we will be able to see where the errors appear. Let's see. I really have to also remember how I implemented saving the bestiary entries and so on. Journal modal. $387 was the line that it was complaining about, so this is where the connections happen. Let's see. It said bestiary button focus neighbor. Everything here is gonna be messed up now because I focus on the wrong stuff. So logs button focus neighbor right should be on bestiary. That's okay. Logs itself, close button, that's bottom, right, left, top, and top is also close. Then bestiary focus on the left will be logs, right will be, I believe, recipe. Yeah, one problem, I don't have recipes button referenced anywhere yet, I believe. No. So let's see, where do I have the declaration of these buttons? It's here, button. one reference here. Now I start to reference it in the code everywhere else. Bestiary logs recipes button, and then here focus right is recipe button, focus neighbor bottom, first visible button, I do a bit of mumbo jumbo here. Create focus connections, so this is the main function. It has to connect all the buttons between each other. I get this one, but I should have 3 different state logs, bestiary, and recipes. 0, 1, 2. Okay, by default it's logs on bestiary button. Okay. Let's add the case for the journal recipes. Let's see what's going on here. Because the core of these things is the same for every thing, but if it's entry, title button, entry, title button, recipe, okay. Get entry resource. Bestiary entry resource. I need another one. This is where I have different databases for these things created. I completely forgot about this. I have to remember. Let's find the journal. Coming down here, and if I go to this, we have to add recipes. Recipe if I have singular. Let's create new one. Recipe db resource. And the second one has to be recipe entry. Okay. Time to see what's going on here. So if I have this one, I have to declare it so it's gonna be visible, and editor, I guess I'm extending it only from the resource, but what I'm gonna do is simply copy paste and then rename stuff in it. Get entry by ID, recipe entry, entry resource. I could probably extend this a bit differently, but it is what it is for now. And entry resource is the base one. See, the DB, it doesn't have a common parent, but the entries have. Okay. Now if I take a look at recipe DB, it's okay. So this is the same as everything in between. If I go here, logs, bestiary, and recipes. So recipes button. Doing it like I did it before, but now comes this part. I just wonder why am I focusing neighbor bottom here. The first visible button. I mean, what's going on with the logs? Focus grabber 0. Who the hell is focus grabber 0? Focus grabber 0 is a new array where I add stuff. So by default, we'll see. This is still gonna be interesting. Logs button, bestiary button, then we go with recipes button. Focus. Why do I go with neighbor bottom first? Right, left, and then top. And then left, right, top, bottom. I should keep the order same. I always go top, right, bottom, left. That's my usual workflow. Top, right, bottom, left. Maybe I gave something to the LLM to edit. Focus, neighbor top. It's gonna be enclosed. That's normal. Focus, neighbor right. What did I have here before? On what did I focus here? So if I take a look at the changelog, journal model, first on the right, I focused on myself. Why? Anyway, we'll keep it like this for now. So it means recipes button, get path. Recipes button focus neighbor bottom equals to, on the bottom I should focus on this. Like that, and then on the left, of course, I go back to bestiary button. Get path. And enter description scroll container. I focus on the right. On myself, okay, and on the left I focus on first visible button, which means that's a recipe, bestiary, or logs, depending on what I have. Okay, then on closing journal, that's the button on the bottom. I focus on the last visible button, or else I focus on the description. That's okay, close. That's the one on the top. Bestiary here is gonna be recipes. And bottom, the description itself. So I create focus connections when each of these buttons is pressed. I refocus everything, I believe, because I'm reusing the same containers. Don't have too much nodes. So on logs button press and bestiary button press, and then I have to reuse the same one for the bestiary, and the last one is on recipes. First I want to wire them up correctly. So recipe button pressed. That's on recipe buttons pressed. And of course we have to unsubscribe from it. Once we do that, we start modifying this one. So the state is gonna be recipes. And then we start. Enter title button. What do I populate here? Get child, get child, get child. Be right back, I have to go take a leak. So, in a second. Back. Okay. Okay. Let's see, where did I leave? I have to remember how everything works, because this is the parts I I literally touched long time ago, like half a year, as far as I see. So I have first populate logs and populate bestiary stuff. Now I wonder where I call this. Once I open up, first I clean everything up and then I populate stuff. So if I have populate logs and populate bestiary, I should have populate recipes. I believe I don't need this one. Can't really recall what was this, but if it's comment out, no need. I manage the events here. So what do I do here? I take the profile and I run over it and I look at the unlocked stuff. So profile resource, that's player profile resource, bestiary, of course. I keep the IDs of these things in here. Now I have to add also for the recipes. Select recipe entries. I'm gonna have to maintain this one as well. So if bestiary is here, yeah, everything is only being accessed in the logs, journal model. Let me just see. Do I have something specific here? Because there's a lot of stuff that I'm reusing here. I could be reusing it, and I'm duplicating the methods. I'm gonna join them. But first let's make it work, and then we join. Populate recipes. Now for every same thing, it's gonna be parameter entry, bestiary entry. Yeah, I use different types. Unlocked recipes. Bestiary DB. I have a separate DB for that. And controller. I have to populate the same one for the recipes. Let's see. This one. Where do I assign it? I just have a simple reference somewhere. Aha, an export. So I'm gonna create a new one and then assign it here. Okay, let's do it before I forget about it. HGREDB. Journal. Going in, recipes. New folder. So I have different entries here and then one parent. I think I have to build. Just a second. It's gonna explode probably. Too many errors. I didn't complain. Alright. Resource. Recipes DB. DB resource. Recipes DB. And this one's gonna have the reference to all the entries. So basically all the recipe book I have there. Now either I have to maintain if I have to maintain data on 2 points, that's gonna be pain in the ass. If I have different entries for that's gonna need refactoring as well. Love it how it begins and how it ends. So let's try adding a dummy recipe. Recipe. One issue. Recipe entry doesn't have anything above it. Because log entry, they have log entry, of course. This was forgotten. Let's rebuild it. I'm glad that I don't have a camera because I'm constantly picking my nose. I couldn't be doing that. I mean, it would be a shame if I did. Recipe entry resource, this one. I'm gonna call it iron hammer recipe entry. Kinda hate myself from time to time when I write such a long explicit names, but then again when I have to look them up I know what it is, so yeah. Status hidden. And here I would have to add recipe title, iron hammer, recipe description, and I'm gonna go insane if I'm gonna have to write this out every time. So I'm gonna make myself a tool that populates, that creates these keys based on the ID itself. Yep, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So the log resource, I think I have a similar tool for my unlockable resource somewhere. Autofill from ID. Okay. And then here, I just simply create this one. But why do I put this in the log? I should put it in the entry resource, because the log itself was empty, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see the div. Yeah, it was empty. Come on. Good. Go to the parent. And here, let's autofill keys from ID. So autofill from ID, string is null or empty. Okay, then I have to assign the title, code recipe, title, recipe description. Value ID, don't need this one here. And let's see if it works. So if I have iron hammer, deleting, it works. Recipe title, iron hammer, recipe description, iron hammer. Now, should I keep it a separate one or not? I'll see. Keep a separate for crafting. The journal. One thing that I'm bothered is because definitely I'll have to know all the item IDs here and quantities. So I think I'm gonna have to use the single source of truth, yes. Makes sense. And this is all related to the entry. Entry is being populated. Let's see. ID of the item. Export public string name. String item ID. And then array public go dot dictionary Just a second. Go to dictionary. Now go to collections. Dictionary. No, array. Array, string name. Ingredients. Ingredient IDs. This one makes sense now. Okay. So I have main item ID and ingredients IDs. And if I hover over it, I have to somehow create also the buttons or icons that represent the ingredients themselves. It just keeps on expanding. My god. Product item ID. Okay. And ingredients IDs. Oh, wow, a crash. It's always something happens when you mess the dictionaries. And before I'm gonna release the game, I'm gonna update it to 4.6.1. I didn't do it yet, but that's a maintenance release. And it should bring more stability to Godot. Okay. And iron hammer. Autofill keys from ID. Let's make this a virtual. And in the recipe, I can override it. And because this is at the top, I'm gonna say here that ID equals to product item ID. So I have to set only this one, and if I hit autofill, it should cascade down. And it doesn't work. Public override void autofill. And why aren't you yelling about anything? Huh. autofill from ID, autofill from ID. Is it maybe the declaration of the button up there? It could be. Or maybe I'm just gonna simply lift it up and add another button from the top. Public void from product item ID. Button. Okay. Man, oh man, this is gonna bring many differences in the code base, I believe. Many lookups and so on. It works now. If I delete all of these things and I hit autofill, it populates everything. So I have to worry only about this ID, and other things will be populated correctly. Now, the awesome thing would be if I could somehow streamline this directly into the CSV, so I wouldn't have to mess with that a bit. Okay, I have ingredients IDs. Now, the thing I need is representation of these thingies. How would this look? Because currently I'm sharing the mockshot frame with everything. See, with the description, entry title, rich text, and so on. One thing how I could probably work around this is that I'd add a container, a control node, or even better, yeah, control node, why the hell not? Control node, which would have okay. Let's measure it a bit. So if I have this space here and I have 20 something pixels for the item, then if I would display a recipe, I'd add a title here above it. So currently what I'm doing is, if I show a bestiary, I show a mockshot of the creature, its background, and so on. But now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna insert something in between. So the title is gonna be displayed on the top, and below it I'm gonna have centrally aligned the item that you want to craft, and another box with a bit darker background where all the items that are required for this recipes are gonna be needed. And for the simplicity part, yeah, I'm gonna do it this way. So if I add a child node, a control, this one is gonna be below the title itself. I'm gonna call it recipes control, and the layout of it's gonna be that it's gonna fill horizontally and expand. I'm not sure if it's needed, if anything is needed, but the child of this one is gonna be the HBox container. I think that HBoxes enforce the width. I'll see how it goes. Just a second. Should this one be margin? And if I add, for example, texture rect, and let's add iron hammer, axe, or whatever, it's in here. And I'm gonna have to align this to the center. And another child of this is gonna be, I'm not sure if HBox container or a grid. Or Godot has a flow or something now, right? HFlow. Maybe this one. And if I try adding more children to it, the problem is it's in the same, what is this? What kind of margin container? This one should be expanded. Huh. If I'm filling stuff here and I'm filling stuff here, one moment. If I add some margin at the top and bottom, that's okay. The margin is visible in this version, but if I'm saying that you have to take over the whole horizontal space, VBox container, and I think this has to be the parent, of course, like that. Okay, this one is aligned in the middle, and here I would be adding more recipes, ingredients. So if we're gonna say this is iron hammer, and it has this amount of ingredients, I'd have to somehow visually distinct that this is a product and that these are the ingredients. And I could do this with a color rect or something. But I always have problems with color rects when I want to expand them and wrap the children. What did I do? And here, yeah, this is making me problems. Let's make it 16. I make it a bit darker, add some transparency to it. Now this improves the visual hierarchy, I believe. We know ingredients, product. And in between here, these items should be spread out a bit. Let's see, do I have 8 separation? I do. 4, and what if we add 8? Okay. Just for an example. But sometimes I can have a lot of different ingredients. And this can quickly grow. What do I do then? If this grows, and what happens? Now either I enforce it with a grid container, that's one possibility, or I start adding more rows. But this means that color rect has to grow, because otherwise we are screwed. These backgrounds are always so annoying. Always have a problem with them. Whenever I'm creating that the background has to expand to the same size as its content, suffer. Keep on forgetting this for I don't know how many years. This is margin container. What do I have here? Do I have something here? No, basically this is a panel, right? You can only override here the constants like the margin itself. Ay. I wonder how this flow works, because it's quite new node, and I wonder what happens if I put many more. Hey, it auto expands. This is exactly what I need. So this one is good. And it already aligns them in the middle and everything. And for the simplicity's sake, I won't add numbers to it. You're gonna count the number of items that is displayed here. But then again, you have to hover over it and see what exactly is the ingredient. Should I make it hoverable? Well, it's a lot of candy. Probably down the patches after I'm gonna focus on other stuff. In Godot, how to make color rect expand. Control node. Let's see. Aha. A panel. margin container. Okay, let's try this one out. If I add a panel, yeah, it's not sizing anything. If I put the margin container here, nope, not a single fuck is given. Huh. What about panel container? Hey. Now this seems to be working. Do I need a margin container? Holy shit, this is how you should do it. Okay. And then I can simply remove this margin container. Maybe I could add it, just to keep the distance in here. Because why not? In margin container then I have ability to override the distances between everything, and it's more beautifully spaced out. And now I can style the panel container, or styles panel. Okay, new style box flat, and we're going with black color and 50 transparency, or 100. I think we're gonna go with 100. Panel container 100. That's a good one. Okay, and these two thingies will have to be spread in between a bit more. Let's give it some space to breathe. And separation is 4 by default. What if I put 8? Let's do some measuring. 10. Yeah. I like it. Recipes. This is gonna be good. Now let's just remove and keep it visible for the most frequent amount of ingredients, and that's about 3 items. So for example, if I'm building, let's take one real recipe. If a recipe is poison bow. Poison bow, it has to be made from the wooden bow. And 3 poison glands. more. I think this is gonna be good. And then down here, it's gonna be the description of the item. But I'm not sure if I also have to display the item effects themselves. What kind of damage it does and so on. Maybe I should. Now that I think of it, I'm gonna copy and paste this one. The layout's gonna be very similar. Put it up. Result container. Result panel container. Ingredients. I can delete this one. And then here, remove every single one of them. This one. And if I want to change its background, I go here, make it unique. Should I be messing with you or not? I'll see. Well, this gives me the opportunity to add more stuff. Now let's start renaming the nodes correctly. So entry title label, that's common to everything. Recipe ingredients. And this is margin container. Result panel container. Let's make it accessible as a unique name, under the unique name. Okay, so when the recipes are on, I disable the mugshot frame, I enable this one. And besides this, the recipe will display the description of the bow itself. So that's a correct place for the ingredients panel contain, from this entry description, that's gonna come here. But then below that, I still need the item effects, like I have in item info panel. I'm gonna have to extract that data and show how much damage it makes and so on. Because otherwise, if only we have description, I can see that people will complain if there is no in-depth description about the item, the damage it deals and so on. So if I have this, then let's just duplicate it for now. Move it down a bit. Item info, recipe item info. Let's make this quite shorter. Don't need it now. Maybe I can, for the visual perception of it, just look up the poison bow, copy it in here, and see how this would look in the real life. And this one, item info. This is the one we're gonna need. Okay. So the first one is gonna be needed. Maybe I can use the second one because it has a darker tone in the background. Item info. Item effect info. Let's make it nameable. But this one is gonna need VBox. Okay. Some margin, that's okay. And let's see how this would look. These would get dynamically populated every time. Okay. What if we add more? Yep. Now regarding the size of font, I'm gonna have to tweak this a bit, I know. This is size 5. But here I'm displaying everything also with size 6 or something, huh? What's the default size? 6. So, because I changed a couple of times already the text in the game itself, I wonder what is too big or what is too small. What's the title here? Font size 6. Well, that breaks the visual hierarchy, I'd say. Maybe the item effect text will have to be a bit smaller here. I'll see. I'll see. What if I make this a bit thicker? And a bit bigger. Too much. It eats the main title. The main title is of a size 8. This is size 6. Should I make it smaller? Size 5? No, looks terrible. Okay, never mind. We'll see. So I have recipe item info, margin container. Accessible but under the unique name. Two. Yeah. Item effect info. Let's make a version that's small. It's gonna be best. Item effect info small. Basically the difference is that it has smaller text. So if I go here to the value label and description label, their text is gonna have to be 5. And this one is also gonna be 5. Font sizes. And these will remain the same, right? 6. Okay. Now if I take a look at the stats model, I mean the journal model. And if I put a couple of these in here. Much more pleasant. Because the font sizes are okay. This one is 6, it's a bit bigger. The enter title button has a size of 6 as well, I believe. And that's good because it's a label, it's a title, but on a button. What? Yeah, it's 6. Like where this is going. Alrighty. Have it here. Now I'm gonna have to reference everything. That's gonna be interesting. So this one can remain because it's always gonna be 1. Now naming. Either it's a result item or it's a product item. How did I name it in the recipe entry? Product item. I'm gonna keep it as a product item. product item texture rect. Let's just access it as a unique name. Then let's see. This one is here. Ingredients panel container. I need the HFlow container ingredients. This is where we're gonna instantiate the texture rects. And the texture rect is basically the default one. So no special thing about it. But what can we do? This is okay. The description is common to the logs, bestiary, and everything else. And this one is important because this one and this one are gonna be toggleable. This, and then here item effects info vbox container. Alrighty, I'm just gonna write it out on the code. Let's put Godot on the other window so I have easier time accessing it. So this is journal modal. Where I have populate recipes, I still have to refactor this one. It's wrong. Let's do it right now. So unlock recipe entry IDs. I have entry ID. This isn't bestiary, it's a recipe entry. Recipe entry. Okay. Entry status. I should read from red. Recipe entry IDs. Let me just see one thing. If I have here profile resource. I have unlocked and I have red because everything is marked as red in the journal once you read it. So there's no more icon that something is new. Yeah. Red recipe entry IDs. Entry status red. Or else it's on red. That's okay. Warnings for myself. Entry title. That's okay. Now this one, mugshot, body texture, I don't need to assign anything. Now if I do this in bestiary, that's the one that I copied, I should be using this one from here, more or less. So mugshot frame is gonna be invisible. Visible equals to false. A mugshot body texture. It's also going to be visible false. Or I mean, I don't have to because this is actually a child of it. Now if I go to the definition, first I'm gonna take the references here now. Texture rect. Then another speciality is ingredients panel container. So that's of a type panel container. No, actually, let's go with this one. Like this. Product item texture rect, we have it. HFlow container. This is where we list all the ingredients of the recipe. What else do I need? I need also recipes item info margin container. I need this one. VBox container. So what do? I set the title, I set the description of the item, and then I also have to list all the items that are needed for this recipe to be created. So recipes margin container, let's see. First, I'm gonna have to toggle a couple of them if I'm looking the recipe or something else. Has to be visible only if we're looking at the recipe. Same goes for recipe item info. So I still need this one. So in other cases, when I open other entries for the journal, I delete these. Okay. These are the main ones that we toggle. Now I have to find the references to all of these items. And this is gonna be here. This is general, and this here is related to the recipes. So get node. In times like these, I miss a bit of LLM help, but fuck you, Copilot. Only thing I have different is probably the capital case in the beginning, capital letter. So, and here okay, texture rect. Come on, texture rect. HFlow. VBox. That's why I like explicitly naming the nodes the long way. So, okay. I got this. Now, I said that 2 of them have to be invisible in other cases. These are the populate buttons. So these handlers handle also the description and everything of the content. So this one has to make it visible, false. I'll have to refactor this. Make it work the first time. Through. Mockshot isn't visible anymore. Enter title, it's gonna get the title from that one. And I'm gonna have to put in the DR. So it's gonna pull the translation directly. And this one's gonna take the translation as well. And we set the entry status to red. And because we're modifying recipes, red recipe entry IDs. Same goes for this one. Scroll vertical 0. It means that when I move anything, I have to vertically move it up if I select a new item. So that's okay. That's okay. My handler, this is my handler and it's saved. I handle this everywhere else. I delete it once I delete the buttons. Let's unsubscribe from the events. I do it. So I have populate logs, populate bestiary, then I need populate recipes. Huh. Okay. That's okay. But then again, I'm gonna have to make the recipes all as unlocked in the beginning, I believe. I'll see. Ugh. Okay. Let's see. I still have nature calls. Freaking noob. I always forget to put down this description if I go on the toilet. So sorry about that, but nobody notifies me. And yeah. Okay. So we have unlocked recipes and red recipes. But the thing is that all of these unlocked thingies come from the... They come from the unlockables themselves. So if I have an unlockable that contains info about how to make an iron hammer, then once I forge it, I have to unlock it. I mean, I have to show it that it has been unlocked. The entry has been unlocked. Now, let me just test the game a bit. I don't populate anything specifically yet. I have to create a dummy DB for the recipes. But let's see what's gonna go. Which errors we encounter, because I've been coding for a while and I didn't test it. So, I believe we have the DB in the game controller regarding the recipes. Recipe book is here. That's a config. Where's the DB? Recipes DB. So I have logs DB, bestiary DB, and recipes DB. I should also put this in config, I believe, one day. Haha. Of course I should. Let's save it as. So it's gonna go under resources, journal, and recipes. Call it recipe DB. Wait a minute, I already have one. Okay. Let's move it. Config. Journal. Let's go to the game controller. I'll need these two things here. And now let's see the references. Game controller. Yeah. Best way would be that I cut it off. And everywhere I spit errors, I simply go to the config. Anywhere else, of course, more. No, not you. Here. Let's make it explode a couple of times, so it's gonna throw more errors. Okay, perfect. I have the logs DB, I'm not sure why you're complaining. Let's see if I try to rebuild again. It works, but okay, I'm gonna kill it. Because the references are gonna be empty. Now, gotta build it in Godot and make the connections to the correct ones. Okay, journal, logs, bestiary, and recipes. Now these have their own references inside. And here, ID. Yep. I'll have to take all of them out and put them in the translations. I'll do that a bit later. And here we have recipes DB. And then I have to look up all the old recipes because I have a recipe book. And I'm gonna be calling all of these stuff from here, from recipes DB. Ingredients and so on. These are my current recipes. Oh, what a major refactor. Okay, better start adding them. Recipe title club, that's actually also gonna be like item name club, item name description. So it makes more sense to update the tool, so the population is gonna be made with the correct key. Recipe DB. Yeah, but that's a base one. Okay. 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 I think I've built it. Now let's autofill again. Yeah, item name, Berserker Blast Rune. Let's see if everyone is correctly populated. The entry is inside, so okay. Basically what I'm doing here, I'm extracting the item's name. I could have a different tool for that. Maybe I could simply just look up the item, so I wouldn't need the key even for the lookup, because definitely I have to look up the item itself from the DB, get its texture and so on. We'll see. I have these thingies inside here, title in the description, because entries like journals, I mean like logs and bestiary, their source of truth will be here. So yeah, I'm gonna keep that, everything's gonna get from here. Okay. That's one. Then the club has to come from crafting wooden stick and crafting wooden stick. Okay. Then we have cooked steak. And it has crafting burning steak and raw steak. New one. Crafting elven rope. And crafting fairy dust. More. This is Elven Bow, right? Okay. Elven Mace. I also somehow have to order them. Elven Mace. It's made out of stone mace. Gooselinger. Honey glazed steak. Cooked steak and honey. Iron sword. With 2 more elements. Rusty and rusty. Longbow. Two wooden bows. Mine. This one has crafting dino, ore and crafting stone. Nail mine. It's made out of mine and crafting nails. Significantly higher damage. Okay. Another one. Nailed club. Crafting nails and club. Poison bow. I think it has 3 poison glands and a wooden bow. Maybe I'm gonna change the order so the bow's gonna be up. And besides the poison bow, I have stone mace. And then here I have crafting wooden stick, crafting wooden rope, and a crafting stone. Okay. And the last but not least is a wooden bow. Wooden bow comes from crafting rope and crafting wooden stick. Okay, now I have these. One downside is that I have them not stored as a separate entries, but I have them directly stored here. And as far as I'm aware, this can be buggy from time to time. It's better to have it stored on in the disk normally. Let's leave it for now like this. Recipes DB, okay. Now I kind of think that we can test out just the functionality if the freaking map opens up or not. I mean the freaking what is it called? Modal. Camp. Ah, it doesn't take the focus in yet. Okay, first thing first. This one is first thing first. If I open the bow, I mean the journal, I can close everything in behind. That's the first bug. So I'm gonna have to compare how I solved this in other two cases. And okay. Uh-huh. for some debugging stuff. And it misses the pause game. Huh. I guess this is already what I have in the model with the Alma board. Yes. On close button. Do I have resume game in this one? I think I do, by default. Hide, base, hide, hide. Okay. Null check on entry happens after it's already used. Where did I do this monstrosity? Idiot. Can I do this in every single case, huh? Oh my god. Schmuck. Okay, I think somebody came. Be right back.